The Awakening. The derelict ship hung motionless in the void, a ghost of metal and silence against the tapestry of distant stars. For 300 years, it had drifted through the darkness, forgotten by all who once knew its name. The vessel's hull bore the scars of ancient battles, its surface pockmarked with impact craters and radiation burns that told stories no living soul remembered. Commander Vexhai of the Kethran Empire stood on the bridge of the exploration vessel Seeker's Pride, her 4 eyes fixed on the massive human warship displayed on the main screen. Her elongated fingers traced patterns in the air, manipulating the holographic interface as she studied the alien craft. The ship was enormous, easily 3 times the size of her own vessel, its angular design both primitive and somehow menacing. "Scans complete, Commander," announced Science Officer Thek, his mandibles clicking with excitement. "The vessel appears to be of human origin, matching records from the Great Purge. No life signs detected. Power systems are minimal, running on what appears to be emergency reserves." Vexay's secondary arms folded across her chest while her primary ones continued working the controls. The humans had been extinct for centuries, wiped out during the Coalition's systematic cleansing of their homeworld. Yet here was one of their warships, intact and waiting like a tomb in space. "Prepare a boarding party," she ordered. "Full environmental suits and weapons. We don't know what defensive systems might still be active." The boarding shuttle crossed the void between the 2 ships, its occupants silent as they approached the ancient vessel. Lieutenant Carthex led the team of 6 Kethran soldiers, each one trained in synorcheology and combat. As they drew closer, the true scale of the human ship became apparent. Its designation was still visible on the hull, UES Prometheus. The airlock cycled with surprising efficiency, ancient mechanisms responding to their presence. Inside, emergency lighting cast long shadows through corridors that hadn't seen life in centuries. The air was stale but breathable, maintained by systems that refused to die. "Spread out in pairs," Carthex ordered. "Document everything. The Empire wants to know how these primitives built ships that could survive this long." The team moved through the ship methodically, recording every detail. The architecture was distinctly human, inefficient by Kethran standards, with too much space devoted to crew comfort and redundant systems. Yet there was something unsettling about the design, a sense of purpose that went beyond mere functionality. In the engineering section, Specialist Dexbar found the quantum core. It was a massive sphere of crystallized energy, suspended in a containment field that still hummed with power. Ancient human script covered the walls, warnings in a dozen languages about the dangers of tampering with the system. "Fascinating," Dexvar muttered, reaching out to touch the control panel. "Their understanding of quantum mechanics was more advanced than we thought." The moment his claw made contact, everything changed. The quantum core flared to life, bathing the chamber in blinding white light. Throughout the ship, dormant systems awakened. Lights flickered on, computers booted up, and deep in the bowels of the vessel, something began to transmit. On the bridge of the Seeker's Pride, alarms screamed as the human ship's signature changed dramatically. Where before there had been minimal power readings, now there was a surge of energy that lit up every sensor. "Commander," Thek shouted, "the human vessel is broadcasting. It's sending out some kind of encoded signal on multiple frequencies." Vexhai watched in horror as the signal propagated outward at faster-than-light speeds, carried by quantum entanglement to destinations unknown. "Jam it. Stop that transmission." "I can't. It's using technology we don't understand. The signal is already beyond our reach." The boarding party stumbled back to their shuttle as the Prometheus continued its awakening. Systems that had slept for centuries came online with mechanical precision. In the ship's core, a synthetic voice spoke in ancient Earth languages, cycling through protocols that had waited patiently for this moment. Void response protocol activated, beacon signal transmitted, awaiting response from all stations. Light years away, in the depths of spaces that appeared empty on every star chart, ancient receivers stirred. hidden in asteroid fields, tucked away in the coronas of dying stars, and buried deep beneath the surfaces of dead worlds, humanity's greatest secret began to wake. In the Nexus system, a rogue planet that shouldn't have existed according to any survey, massive doors opened for the first time in 3 centuries. Ships began to emerge, not the crude vessels of humanity's public face, but sleek predators built in secret during the years before the Purge. On Haven Station, concealed in a pocket dimension between reality's folds, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before a wall of monitors as signals poured in from across the galaxy. Her weathered face showed no surprise, only grim satisfaction. "How many responses?" she asked her aide. 17 stations confirmed operational, 3 more coming online. "The fleet is awakening, Admiral." Chen nodded slowly. 300 years we've waited. 300 years of letting them think they won. She turned to face her command staff, men and women who had been born in hiding, raised on stories of Earth's destruction. "Send the activation codes. It's time to remind the galaxy why they feared us." Back at the Prometheus, Commander Vexhai ordered her ship to retreat, but it was already too late. Space itself seemed to ripple as the first human vessels emerged from their hidden dimensions. They weren't the blocky, primitive ships from the historical records. These were something else entirely, graceful curves hiding weapons that defied conventional physics, hulls that seemed to bend light around them. "Contact. Multiple contacts," her tactical officer screamed. "They're everywhere." The human ships materialized like ghosts made solid, surrounding the Kethran vessel in a perfect sphere. Each one was smaller than the Prometheus, but there was something predatory about their movements, something that spoke of purpose long delayed. A communication channel opened, and for the first time in 3 centuries, a human voice spoke to alien ears. "This is Captain Marcus Webb of the United Earth Ship Shadow's Edge. You have activated the Void Response Protocol. By the authority of the human collective, you are hereby detained pending investigation." Vexhai's translator struggled with the dialect, but the meaning was clear. "This is impossible," she whispered. "You're extinct. The Coalition destroyed Earth. We saw the records, the confirmations." Webb's laugh was without humor. "You saw what we wanted you to see. Earth burns still, yes. But humans, we learned long ago that the best place to hide is in plain sight, or in this case, in the spaces between spaces." The boarding party on the Prometheus found themselves trapped as the ship's internal defenses activated. Force fields sprang up, sealing them in the engineering section. The synthetic voice continued its recitation of protocols, each one more ominous than the last. "Phase 1 complete. Beacon acknowledged. Phase 2 initiating. All void response vessels report operational status." Across the galaxy, the Kethran Empire's monitoring stations detected anomalies. Ships appearing where no ships should be. Energy signatures in empty space. Communications networks buzzed with panicked reports of human vessels emerging from impossible locations. On the Seeker's Pride, Vexhai watched her tactical display fill with contacts. Dozens of human ships now surrounded her vessel, with more appearing every moment. Her communication officer was overwhelmed with incoming signals, not from the humans, but from her own people. "Commander, priority message from the homeworld. Human ships have appeared in the Keth system. They're demanding to speak with the Council." Another message. "The Zetek Mining Consortium reports human vessels emerging from asteroid fields. They've seized control of 3 processing stations. The border fleets are reporting contact along the entire frontier." Where did they come from? Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos. "Broadcast on all frequencies. To all Coalition species. 300 years ago, you thought you destroyed humanity. You were wrong. We retreated not in defeat, but in strategy. While you celebrated your victory, we prepared. We built. We waited." The Prometheus completed its awakening cycle, its weapon systems coming online with a deep thrumming that could be felt in the bones. Throughout the ship, Holographic displays showed star charts marking the positions of every hidden human installation. "We are humanity," Chen continued. "We survive. We adapt. We remember. And now, we return." Vexai felt a chill run through her exoskeleton as she understood the magnitude of her error. The derelict hadn't been abandoned. It had been bait. The Void Response Protocol wasn't a distress signal. It was a wake-up call. And humanity had been waiting for someone to sound it. The return of the shadows. The void between stars had never seemed so crowded. Where once the Kethran Empire's fleets had patrolled with impunity, now human ships emerged from hidden dimensions like predators rising from deep waters. Each vessel was a testament to 3 centuries of secret advancement, their hulls gleaming with technologies that shouldn't have been possible. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Shadowforge Station, watching as humanity's true strength revealed itself. The massive displays showed a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy, with new contacts appearing every minute. Green icons marked human vessels, while the red symbols of coalition forces scrambled to respond. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the magnitude of the moment. "All primary installations have reported in," replied Commander James Rivera, her tactical officer. "The Void Response Protocol has achieved 97% activation. We have over 8,000 combat vessels operational, with support craft and carriers bringing our total strength to approximately 12,000. Chen nodded, her weathered hands clasped behind her back. 300 years of preparation had led to this moment. 300 years of living in the shadows, building in secret, advancing technologies while the galaxy believed them extinct. And our deep assets. Project Leviathan reports full readiness. The Titan-class dreadnoughts are prepared for deployment on your command." In the Keth system, the heart of the Kethran Empire, panic had replaced the usual order. The Grand Council convened an emergency session as reports flooded in from across their territory. Human ships had appeared simultaneously at every major world, every strategic resource, every military installation. Supreme Counselor Zektar's 4 eyes darted between displays showing the impossible. Humanity had not only survived, but had somehow built a fleet that rivaled the combined might of the coalition. His respiratory vents fluttered in distress as he addressed the assembly. "How?" he demanded. "How did they hide this from us? Our intelligence networks, our surveillance systems, nothing detected this buildup." The military commander, General Voxai, stepped forward. "They used our own arrogance against us. While we celebrated their extinction, they were building in spaces we never thought to look. Pocket dimensions, folded spacetime, quantum displacement. Technologies we deemed theoretical, they turned into reality." Back on the Seeker's Pride, Commander Vexai remained under the watchful guns of the human fleet. Captain Webb's image filled her communication screen, his scared face showing none of the emotion she expected from a member of a supposedly vengeful species. "You still don't understand," Webb said calmly. "This isn't about revenge. If we wanted that, your worlds would already be burning. This is about correction." "Correction?" Vexay's mandibles clicked nervously. "What do you mean?" Webb gestured, and a holographic display appeared between them. It showed Earth as it was now, a scared, irradiated world barely capable of supporting life. But beneath the devastated surface, lights gleamed in vast underground cities. "You thought you destroyed us by burning our world. Instead, you taught us the most valuable lesson any species can learn, that survival requires adaptation. Earth still burns, yes. But beneath the ashes, 10 billion humans thrive in cities that stretch to the planet's core." The display changed, showing installations throughout the solar system. Mars, transformed into a fortress world. Jupiter's moons, hollowed out and filled with shipyards. The asteroid belt, a maze of hidden bases and weapons platforms. For 3 centuries, we've prepared. Not for war, but for the moment when we could stand as equals. The Void Response Protocol wasn't just a signal, it was a test. We needed to know if the galaxy was ready to accept us back. On Earth itself, or rather beneath it, the reality of human survival defied everything the Coalition believed. In the Great Cavern, a space so vast it had its own weather system, cities sprawled across the underground landscape. Artificial suns provided light and warmth, while advanced recycling systems had created a closed ecosystem more efficient than anything that had existed on the surface. President Elena Vasquez stood before the United Earth Congress, her voice carrying to the millions watching throughout the underground network. Today, we step back into the light, not as conquerors, but as survivors, not as aggressors, but as proof that no species can be truly erased if their will to live remains strong. The Coalition's response came swiftly. Fleets mobilized from every member species, converging on human positions throughout the galaxy. The Kethran Empire, the Zelathi Hegemony, the Dravidian Collective, all sent their might against the returned humans. At the Battle of Kepler 442, the first major engagement of what would later be called the Revelation War, humanity's true capabilities became clear. The Coalition fleet, comprising over 2,000 vessels, faced a human force 1/4 their size. Admiral Chen commanded from the dreadnought Terra's Promise, a ship that dwarfed even the Coalition's largest vessels. As the enemy fleet approached, she gave the order that would change galactic history: deploy the Aegis field. Space itself seemed to shudder as humanity's greatest creation activated. The Aegis field wasn't a shield in any conventional sense. It was a manipulation of space-time that created a bubble of altered physics around the human fleet. Within this bubble, human weapons operated at peak efficiency, while enemy systems found themselves fighting against the very laws of reality. The battle was less a fight than a demonstration. Coalition weapons that should have torn through armor simply dissipated. Human railguns fired projectiles that seemed to ignore distance and time, striking targets the moment they were launched. Energy weapons bent space around enemy shields, hitting from angles that didn't exist in normal space. In 3 hours, the Coalition fleet was either destroyed or disabled. Human casualties, 0. The psychological impact was greater than the military one. For 3 centuries, the Coalition had believed in their superiority, in the rightness of their cause. Now, faced with technology that bordered on the miraculous, that certainty crumbled. But humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology, it was their message. Across the galaxy, on every frequency and in every language, Admiral Chen broadcast humanity's terms. We do not seek the destruction of your civilizations. We seek acknowledgement. For 300 years, you've built your society on the lie of our extinction. That lie ends today. We offer 2 choices: recognize humanity as an equal member of the galactic community, or continue this conflict and face the consequences of fighting an enemy you cannot defeat. In the depths of space, the Titan-class dreadnoughts began to deploy. These were ships beyond comprehension, each one the size of a small moon, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. But their true purpose wasn't destruction, it was deterrence. On the Seeker's Pride, Commander Vexhai watched the nearest Titan emerge from folded space. The Prometheus, which had seemed so massive, was dwarfed by the new arrival. Her tactical officers' readings made no sense. The power output alone should have been impossible. Captain Webb's image appeared again. That is the remembrance. One of 12 Titans we built. Each one carries the memories of Earth, complete biosphere samples, and the genetic templates of every species that died in the Purge. We didn't build them for war, Commander. We built them to ensure that no world would ever again face extinction. The revelation struck Vexhai like a physical blow. You're not here for revenge. You're here to make sure it never happens again. Webb nodded. Every species deserves the chance to survive, to grow, to reach for the stars. The Coalition forgot that truth. We haven't. The war, such as it was, ended not with surrender but with understanding. One by one, Coalition members agreed to humanity's terms. The Kethran Empire was the first, their council recognizing the futility of fighting an enemy that had turned survival into an art form. In the ruins of old New York, now a memorial preserved beneath protective domes, the Treaty of Remembrance was signed. Humanity would return to the galactic community, not as subjects or conquests, but as equals. The coalition would be reformed, with safeguards to prevent any species from facing extinction again. But perhaps the most significant change was philosophical. The galaxy had learned that true strength didn't come from the ability to destroy, but from the will to survive and the wisdom to forgive. Admiral Chen retired after the treaty signing, returning to Earth's underground cities. In her final public address, she spoke words that would be remembered for generations. We hid not from fear, but from necessity. We built not for conquest, but for protection. We return not for dominance, but for unity. Humanity endures because we learned the greatest truth of existence, that survival without purpose is meaningless, but purpose without compassion is death. The Void Response Protocol was deactivated, its purpose served. The Prometheus was restored and turned into a monument, a reminder of the moment when a sleeping giant woke not in anger, but in hope. And throughout the galaxy, species that had once feared humanity learned to respect them instead. For in the end, the humans had proven that true strength lay not in the ability to destroy one's enemies, but in the courage to transform them into allies.